The Kenny Smooth Morning Show.
92Q, Nashville's R&B and throwbacks. It's the Kenny Smooth Morning Show. And since you know, we always got to bring the important people, the powerful people in our city.
Are we the first to get him?
I don't know, man.
You know, first.
Ish.
So here's what I'll say. First radio.
First radio.
We'll take it.
Yeah. The first radio interview with the brand new Nashville mayor. Who we got, Sissy Brown, in the studio?
I hit the button.
Yes, he did.
We have so many nicknames for you. So.
Me and Sean are going to go with Honorable.
Right. The Honorable
Freddie Younghound.
I said we got to get gang with it.
Ready, Freddie.
Ready, Freddie. I think that's it. For the next 4 years, Ready, Freddie.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I like that one.
That'll work.
That works.
That's going to give his haters too much fodder right there. That's too much.
They can hate all they want.
You're in the building now. It's a done deal.
Is it
Not yet.
official?
Not
Funny
official.
thing, right now I am still a civilian. I do not even have a .gov email address.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
I'm retired.
You haven't been to HR.
I'm
Nothing.
retired from Metro Council. There's this space in between. So yeah, we expect that the Davids County Election Commission will certify the results of the election tomorrow.
When do you swear in?
So what we're expecting will happen is we will just do a very quiet kind of the official sign the documents on Monday morning, September 25th.
Okay.
And so that will be when the job officially starts, and then we will do something for the entire Metro Council, the vice mayor, and have a combined inauguration and swearing in late next week. It looks like.
Okay.
What I'm talking about.
All right, so it's a lot to do. It's a lot going on here in the city. A lot of things have been said on the campaign. So what would you say are your top 3 priorities to get things started?
Yeah, so we talked when I was there on election night, had an amazing crowd out at Eastside Bowl and sort of laid out 3 different pieces of what we're going to try to do. And we have set up kind of a transition process to look into all 3 of these things. And it's very similar to what we talked about while we were on the campaign. We talked about how Nashville grows. We talked about how Nashville works and how Nashville moves. And in those cases, we know we're going to be deeply invested in the East Bank process because the Titans are trying to play football there by August of 27. So we've got 4 years of work that Metro has to do to get the infrastructure right, start thinking about parks and how people are going to tailgate, all that stuff. But we also have to do the 525 square miles. We have to do we can't let up just because we're doing the East Bank. We can't stop doing new schools. We're building a new police precinct out in Southeast.
Okay.
We've got communities that either need parks and libraries that don't have them right now, or like we've seen Edge Hill. There are a couple of other opportunities out there where smaller libraries have not had any kind of upgrade in a long time. So there's still this, and I can't tell you how many times that I encountered or people on my team encountered communities where you'd have people in walking distance to one of those things, a school, a park, a library, and had no sidewalks. And so we're going to be looking at that. How Nashville works is, my goal is to make Metro, our local government, the top tier customer service organization in the city. I mean, this to me is when you are interacting with a Metro department, if you are using Hub Nashville, a tool that you can use to submit a pothole, a broken street light, anything that is amiss, we want that process to be very responsive. We want you to know what's going on with Metro. I think that it's part of one of the reasons why so many Nashvillians, myself included, have often felt like for the past few years Nashville has not been on the right track is because you're not seeing those investments. Like when we are saying, hey, we have asked you all to contribute on the basis of property taxes or whatever our revenues are, there's not this corresponding, things are getting better. So we want Nashville to work well for all Nashvillians.
Nice.
The Nashville Moves piece is, I can't tell you. I mean, if any of you all as hosts, if anybody listening has been to another city, even Atlanta, Memphis,
right?
I mean, Chattanooga, places in Tennessee or nearby, but also our bigger cities. We are a top 25 American city right now.
Yes,
and one of our biggest missing ingredients is we don't have a transit system that feels like we're in a top 25 American
Get
city.
them buses together.
It's disjointed.
That's
That's for sure. It's an attempt.
I mean, we have a transit system, but it is not the kind of transit system that a major American city is supposed to have. So we're going to work on that.
We need them running back to back to back.
Well, and we also need you not to just have, like, if you hop on a bus and you're trying to go to some other part of the city, you shouldn't have to go into downtown and out the other side every single time. Right?
Wow.
So I'll just say, most other American cities have figured this out by now. So we are going to move past that antiquated kind of hub and spoke model that we've got right now.
Sean, you got a question?
I do. So, this morning, obviously, several news outlets are making it a big story around the idea of high schoolers going to school at 8 o'clock versus 7 o'clock.
Yep.
So, really kind of explain to me the thought process behind that. Is that really, is that going to be a big part of your first 100 days, or is this something really the news is kind of blowing out of proportion with this?
Well, I thought this was so funny because this is one of those ripple effect scenarios, because I've been talking about this for years. We started to see, as our older daughter got into middle school, we started to have those families that were a few years ahead of us, but I had heard it too, friends on Metro Council, that their children were advancing into high school. 7 a.m. is a brutal high school start time.
It is.
I agree.
For
It is.
teenagers. I mean, we are literally the earliest in the country for high
Are you
school start
serious?
time. Yes.
That is sick.
And so this is, and it has an impact. It has an impact on mental health. It has an impact on just overall sleep and the way that affects adolescents. The science is undisputed on this, and it has an impact as a result on student performance. And so it's worth taking a serious look at, because if we've ever asked the question over the past several years, are we doing the right thing by our students? The answer usually starts with, well, there are a lot of transportation considerations. So now let's go back to that last piece of how Nashville moves. If this is what the city needs to do to either support school bus drivers in the district or adding additional transit service so we can make all this add up for, those students who have siblings that they're looking after, those students who have work opportunities, because that was me when I was in high school. When I turned 16, I was working weekends from the start when I turned 16 all the way through college, basically, because if I wanted any walking around money, that was what I was going to do.
Right.
And so we do have to solve this. We're not going to solve it in 100 days. I mean,
Right.
I've already had a good conversation with the school board, but this was on our list. We put out a list of 15 fixes during the campaign because we know there are some things we can do to support improvements in student performance and allowing working families to come more easily into our public school system. And I mean, I'm already looking 2 years down the road. Our older daughter is in 7th grade now. When she's in 9th grade, I mean, I'm already looking at, she comes home, she does homework. As a family, if we're all getting home, we're doing dinner, she's got homework, getting ready for bed, having any family time. Right. And all of that adds up. I mean, we're lucky to get lights out by 9:30. If she's got to be up at 5 a.m. in the morning, I mean, that just changes the whole
It's like a grown man job.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It is.
In the morning.
But I mean, it's funny because Whitney, my girlfriend, is she's a pediatric neurologist over at Vanderbilt Children's Hospital.
Okay.
And she literally just got, a couple weeks ago, right as the campaign was winding down, one of the latest issues of Neurology magazine had an article about the impact of high school start times on adolescents from a brain development and brain health standpoint. And I mean, again, it's just all of the evidence says, and it's just, it's been piling up over a long time. Now, the good news is the preliminary conversations we've had with the district have not been, we can't do this, we're not going to do this. It's, look, we're looking at what this kind of transition would look like, because you don't want to be disruptive as much as you can be to those families that are like, hey, this is our athletic schedule, or this is our, sibling and aftercare schedule, or this is our work schedule. You want to take all of those things into account. But across the district, with the tens of thousands of students that are going to our high schools every year, you want to do better by them. I mean, you want to allow them the space to be successful and not be exhausted every single day.
7 a.m.
Right.
All right, now, Sleazy, I'm going to let you ask your question. His name's Sleazy, so
Disclaimer.
his name is Sleazy. I don't know what he's going to ask you.
I'm just going to ask, man, because I'm a hard-working, tax-paying citizen.
Okay,
and
all right.
I get paid bi-weekly. I get paid bi-weekly, and when I get my check, and I go down here to have a nice time and have wings, at the club, the gentleman's club. I just want the 3-foot rule gone. Mr. Ready Freddie O'Connor, I would like that 3-foot rule abolished. I done worked hard all week long. I shouldn't have to throw my money, man. That's disrespectful. That's all I asked for. Just change that. I want that back to normal.
Okay.
Do you have anything to do with that?
So there are so many fun facts in this one little question.
Oh, goodness.
So 2015, I get elected to the Metro Council for District 19, where we are all sitting right now. I learned that I am now the steward of the adult entertainment.
Oh, wow.
Your district.
And it is basically the only place in the city where you can even have a gentleman's club. So every time we had a conversation about those things, it was coming to my desk.
Oh, wow.
So, you can't, there's not one by the airport. You can't do one out by the airport.
I think Antioch could be able to have
You can't.
one.
Southeast isn't going to get a strip club anytime
Now I know.
So there's
Wow.
your fun fact for the morning.
All right. So,
Now, it gets even better.
How could it?
Because of this, I am the rare former Metro Council member who has been sued by a strip club. And I will not cause a scandal on the air by this morning because it was not for my behavior inside the establishment.
There you go.
That's good to know.
Says you around.
Have you always had aspirations about being a mayor, and do you plan to pursue any higher positions, or does it depend on these 4 years?
No, I mean, this was never a part of my life plan. 10 years ago, I had no plans to be a council member. 2 years ago, I had no plans to be a mayor. It's just funny how the accumulation of life experience and the paths and the conversations you have in the community point in a direction. I mean, 16 years ago, we bought a house in Salem Town, and within a couple of years, my neighbors were asking me to take on a leadership role. Well, then I took on that leadership role. Other neighborhoods started asking me to join them and do that. And, I mean, so every now and then it's just like you get invited to do that.
That sounds like him.
That's just, I bought a house in Antioch in 19, and this year I was asked to be on the board.
Watch for his name on the ballot. Watch for his name on the ballot.
Once he became the president of HOA.
There's a couple of council members and a couple people that have said, we're ready for you in 2 years. I was like, gosh.
You say yes too many times, and you look at what happens.
That's what I'm learning.
See what happens, Sean.
You're gonna see him on the ballot in a couple of years. You're gonna wonder why he doesn't show up at 8 a.m. anymore.
Exactly. He's a councilman making votes.
County clerk Sean Good.
And you are going to be his security, Sleazy.
That's it. That's
You'll
how
be
you
the
get your
security.
earpiece right there. That's how you get your earpiece.
That's Sean.
That's it.
Yeah,
Sean Good's walking to the car.
we're here right now with the mayor-elect, Freddie O'Connell. So, in this 200-day space, because we know it moves really, really quickly.
It does.
What can, I always tell people your vote is the vote, but then you have to actually back your vote up with some action. How can people that voted for you, or even the ones that didn't, but want to see the city move, how can they help you achieve these things in this first 100 days?
Yeah, so I'll say it this way, and I talked about this a lot over the past year. So many people, and I did this for 20 years, started participating in all of these city planning processes. We're not asking people to go out and say the same things they've been saying for a long time. Right now, this is a lot about the space for success, but if you visit readyforfreddie.com, you will see an opportunity to jump in. I mean, we're going to continue to want Nashvillians to join us in the boards and commissions process. We're still building out the administration. We are talking to people every day about trying to find the right talent to do this. I mean, my hope is there are amazing opportunities from Metro schools to Metro Nashville Police. What I would say is don't sleep on Metro. I mean, I want this to be an incredible opportunity to join the overall process of serving the city. So if you've got skills and talents and we've got job openings, we want you in the game in that way. Otherwise, look for us. I mean, we're going to be trying to be out there in the community. I will try to be present. And here's what I would say. I had the amazing opportunity to go to the first high school football game at James Lawson High School, the Lightning. And it was amazing. It's an amazing experience to get out there. This Friday night at White's Creek, it's going to be one of the first times that the new turf fields are going to be on display out there. If you have, this is what I loved, even just being at that neighborhood level 16 years ago. You don't have to have a child in our public schools. You don't necessarily have to have any direct cause to be in one of these community events. Just go check it out. I mean, that's the amazing part, is when the community starts to rally around our incredible public assets and starts to interact again. You just get this magic that's out there. So that's what we want, is we want more people coming to experience what all to start to have an opportunity to celebrate those things, and then let us know. I mean, don't be shy. Use Hub Nashville. Go check out those amazing programs, because that's the other thing we're going to be doing is we have some incredible things that this city does, and so many people don't even know about them. And so we're going to be trying to spread the word. So if you're working at the neighborhood level, let your neighbors know that we've got free financial counseling in the city. The Financial Empowerment Center just turned 10 years old. fec.nashville.gov. Absolutely free financial counseling. If you are buying your first home, if you are trying to get out of debt, they have helped Nashvillians eliminate millions of dollars of debt and increase savings. And it's absolutely no cost to taxpayers.
See, things like that. And so, I know at some point too, I don't know if it's in the first 100 days, but I know the affordable housing thing I'm looking at on Miss Brett.
Yeah.
Ayanna Brent talking about that right now. And, there's so many condos and homes going up, but affordability seems to be a miss. Is there something in the works in that first 100 days to start getting that directional thing going?
Yeah, we think that in the first 100 days, a unified study is going to come out of the new housing division we have at Metro Planning. A couple years ago, we had an Affordable Housing Task Force report. It's a good news, hard news situation. The good news is a lot of the recommendations we have been systematically working on over the past 2 years, and we have just this year started to see a little bit of downward pressure on rent. But when your average rents have gone up to, $1,500 a month for a one-bedroom apartment, that's still a tough place to be, right? And so but I will also say, we have this incredible tool, the Barnes Housing Trust Fund, which every dollar we put in there, affordable housing developers can usually go out and leverage that every dollar in there for $6 more to go get more affordable housing online that is long-term affordable. One of the biggest things we're looking to do, though, is create more opportunities for people to find pathways into home ownership. We have brought on a lot of relatively affordable rental properties, but we are not letting our teachers, our first responders, find those pathways to home ownership like my parents did a generation ago, like we did 16 years ago, in quite that same way. And so we're still looking at everything we can do to offer that.
Well,
Speaking of the teachers, we have a YouTube question here. Tony wants to know, what is the plan for staffing qualified teachers in schools? Her daughter attends East Magnet High, and the number of math teachers that have either left or have been displaced is ridiculous.
Yeah, so we know this. The teacher recruitment and retention piece is an ongoing. It's like police too. I mean, there have been over the past several years some turnover there. That has been resignation driven. But I will say there are a couple things. We know Metro Schools is focused on more professional development. Mayor Cooper led an initiative to make our teachers the best paid in the state of Tennessee. We are not going to back off on that. That is going to be one of my top priorities, to maintain that high watermark, right?
Yes.
We finally got teachers paid family leave. This is a big deal. We got support staff, some of the lowest paid professionals in Metro, an increase even above and beyond what the mayor's recommendation was. And that's some work that I'm especially proud of. The hardest part is, on a school by school basis, you have to keep a focus on a couple things. You have to make sure that the school leaders in each school are building a culture within that building that teachers want to stay in. And so you need that school leadership pipeline, just like you need that teacher and support staff pipeline. But I think starting with those pay scales and continuing to focus on that is going to be a good thing. And then I will be in constant contact with Metro Schools as a district, because we need, both within Metro and within Metro Schools, great HR processes that bring people in, that are also accepting feedback, because we need to know why those teachers are leaving. So I want to understand the kind of exit interview process to know that. Because I had a friend who left Hillsborough frustrated last year, and it was interesting to hear some about why. But I do think in her case and a few others, paid family leave actually made a big difference. And so we're hoping that as we continue to add things that make it attractive to be there, we should see an opportunity to recruit and retain teachers.
Okay, staying on school lunch, man. I got another question. I mean, school. What about the school lunches? Are they gonna change? Because a lot of these kids. My daughter comes home from school. She be like, I didn't want to eat it today.
Yeah.
It was.
It's
A hot dog. A hot dog with corn. I mean,
right.
can we make it like? I mean,
Well, let's start here. One, I am a big believer that we should be constantly ensuring that our breakfast and lunch program in schools remains free of charge to all students. That even if we lose some state funding, we've got to make sure to make that program, the universal breakfast and lunch program, a big deal. That is an important thing to me. Now, I will tell you, I was very surprised that our younger daughter, after me packing lunches for our older daughter for years, she was like, I want to do line lunch. I was like, oh, okay.
Okay.
Now she likes it. I've been in there. Like, you can go in. It's, our daughters have both had, the opportunity to kind of come visit during lunch when they were in elementary school, and our younger daughter still is. But I remember several years ago, there was kind of this Metro Schools chef that she had literally a blog. It was kind of like the chief nutritionist. And I love that idea of, again, it's kind of the take pride in everything you do. We ought to be looking at that too, and just making sure that not only is it nutritious, it's something that we see. Now, I look almost every day at what is happening at our daughter's school lunch. And, there's always something for her to eat. When I was a kid in Metro schools, when I was
we ate good.
I will say I like the cheese pizza.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
like
that school cheese pizza, that was
That's a special thing.
that I don't know. I mean, you can't I can't find it in the grocery store.
They
Nobody,
have it on Amazon in the packs. Like,
you're kidding me,
12,
really?
12 in a pack. Yes,
All right.
I saw it on TikTok.
And when you get your .gov email, you can get a discount on Amazon.
Okay, good.
go.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
right.
Hope
That's
Netflix, a lot of stuff get discount when you get that.
I'm gonna type in school cheese pizza.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
Get that Amazon primed over. So
This
But
was
you,
great.
I know the man has to get moving. But we will say this, as we tap out, one, you're always welcome here. There's gonna be some tough roads, and things are gonna happen, and hopefully that you can come here, and just as we had this conversation, that we can talk about the tough stuff too. We'll always be fair.
I'm only coming back if we don't talk about the tough stuff.
Yeah, we promise to be always be fair, and just to, because people would love to have this conversation with you and they can't, and so we try to ask the questions and what have you, and even get them right off the YouTube. We just want to be as supportive as we can, and we know that sometimes you wake up like, oh my goodness, somebody got shot, or oh my goodness, this terrible thing has happened.
And I think that's, as I thought about the decision to run, so much of it had to do with that, right? If there is a thing that keeps you up at night, it's the things that will literally keep you up at night. It is those tragedies and the challenges that Nashville has faced. We have faced a surprising number of them over not just the past 8 to 10 years, just the past 4 years, even just this year.
Yep.
And if we catch our breath, it's the thing you hope for, but you can't count on it. And so I guess if there's anything good that you make out of having to have been involved in so many crises, it's that at least I had the background of managing some of those challenges and working with constituents directly. I mean, I had to deal with hundreds of people a couple of years ago between the tornado and the bombing who just lost their homes in a moment, right? And that is hard, intense, painful, sad, and tragic work. And I think being through that though helps prepare you for any road ahead for what is there. And so my hope is we never need that level of public leadership, but it is a part of what we thought about before we did this.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, YouTube, we appreciate you guys staying around. Give it up for the new mayor, Freddie O'Connell.
And we're going to invite you to some places too, so we expect to see your face.
Yeah,
all right.
Okay.
But it won't be a gentleman's club.
Oh yeah.
Oh, no.
They won't let.
Nowhere in District 15. We ain't green partying.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you all.